Okay, so here's day 2 of this idea of slope. Here's a reminder of what we did yesterday. We learned that slope is our new mathematic vocabulary for the growth of a line or a rule. And then you guys practiced finding slope on a graph. So today we're going to focus on finding slope without the picture of the graph. You're just going to be given 2 points on the graph, no picture, and we'll have to find it. So I'm going to hit pause and we'll let you copy this stuff in green down. Okay, so instead of getting a full graph, you're just going to get 2 coordinate points. I'm going to read through this green stuff. It might seem a little confusing, and then we'll talk about what it all means. So we still need to find the rise over the run, but we just don't have the visual to do that. So instead, we're going to find this little setup here where it says y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Again, you're probably thinking like, what does that mean? I promise after we go through this, we'll make some sense of it. So the first step is label a coordinate pair x1, y1 and pick the other one to be x2, y2. Then we set up a fraction with the top of it being y2 minus y1, the bottom of it being x2 minus x1, and then we'll do that math in the fraction to get our rise over run. Okay, so what does that look like? So in this case, I've given you the graph, but we are not going to use the graph to find the slope. Instead, we've picked 2 coordinates on that line that we're going to use. So I've chosen the coordinate -1, -3, and 2, 3. Pause to let you get all of this down. I advise doing this graph kind of off to the left a little bit. All right, so step 1 says take the 2 coordinates, which I've written in blue over here. Take the 2 coordinates, label one of them x1, y1. So this first coordinate, the x is going to be my x1, and the y is going to be my y1. Then it says take the next coordinate, label that one x2. I'm getting this from up here. Label that one x2 and y2. So the x is going to be my x2, and the y will be my y2. So there's step 1. It says label a coordinate pair x1, y1, x2, y2. So I've got those. Step 2, set up a fraction and make the top y2 minus y1. So y2 minus y1. So in this case, my y2 is that 3. So we're going to do 3 minus y1 is -3, so minus -3. And I pulled that from right there. So I replaced, basically this is kind of like substitution, right? I replaced the y2 with my y2 and the y1 with my y1. And then we need to find the bottom of your fraction and make that x2 minus x1. So from my coordinates above, x2 is that 2, so 2, and x1 is that -1. So that becomes 2 minus -1. So that was step 2 and 3. Step 4 says do that math. So you do the subtraction problem up top, 3 minus -3, which is the same as 3 plus 3. So that's going to equal 6. And then do the math on the bottom. 2 minus a -1 is the same as 2 plus 1. So that's 3. So then your slope is just that, equals 6 over 3. But that can be simplified. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So that's how we do it with a coordinate pair. We'll do another practice problem together. So this one is what happens if I don't give you the picture at all. We just have these 2 coordinates. So we'll get these 2 coordinates recorded. Step 1, label the first pair as x1, y1. So step 1, this is going to be my x1, this is going to be my y1. Step 2, label the next coordinate pair x2, y2. So this is going to be my x2, this is going to be my y2. Step 3, set up a fraction. So we're going to set up y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now we're going to pull. Here's what my y2 is. There's my y1. So when we substitute, we're going to put -8 minus -10. I did that wrong, not minus -10, minus 4. Make sure you pick the right numbers. And then my x2 comes from right there, and our x1 is going to come from right there. So the bottom is going to be -2 minus -10. Next step is to do the math up top. -8 and 4 more negatives makes for -12. Do the math on the bottom. -2 minus a -10 is the same thing as +10, so that's going to equal 8. So then I'm going to write my slope as -12 over 8, but I can divide both those things by 4, -3 over 2. If you wanted, you could write that as -1/2, but I'm going to leave it like that. And so there is your slope from coordinate points. So it's kind of this idea of substitution again. So let's go to the practice problems that you are going to do. So here's your first one. Go ahead and copy this. I've given you a graph, picked 2 coordinate points, and then go ahead and use those coordinate points. So -4, 2, 1, and 8, and find the slope. So again, step 1, label your x1, y2, and your x2, y2. Then set up y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Substitute. So this is going to be 8 minus 2 over, substitute again, over 1 minus -4. Do the math up top and you get a 6. Do the math on the bottom and you get 5. 1 minus -4, same thing as plus. So our slope for this guy is 6 over 5, or you could write 1 1/5. I'm just going to leave it. So there's that one. Okay, now try one without the picture, just coordinate pairs. So you're going to go in and label it x1, y1, x2, y2. Then we're going to set up y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Do our substitution. So there's that y2. There's the y1 for this problem. So it's going to be -45 minus 10 over, here's the x2, there's the x1, so that's going to be over 100 minus 5. Do the math up top. -45 and 10 more negatives is -55. Do the math on the bottom. 100 minus 5 is 95. So my slope, it's kind of this ugly number, negative 55 over 95. We can simplify that by dividing by 5. You get negative 11 over 19. So that's how we use coordinates to find slope. So now you can find slope from a picture of a graph, or you can find slope from just me giving you 2 points on a graph.